The tarot is an intricate visualization of the body of consciousness, sometimes considered an esoteric map that describes the various dimensions of one's being, including the mind, body, emotions, will, and the journey or pathway that the soul takes across time and space through life. And what a journey it is, right? Filled with its positive and negative polarities, wherein each of us are learning to discover ourselves, navigate the path, and make sense of the complexities of life. The work of the tarot is to make simple an understanding of these complexities so that we may become clear through the illusions that can often grip us and take us off course. By doing so, we can then spend more time doing what we love, following the calling of our heart, and spend less time worrying about what may or may not be happening in the present moment, or in our perception of the past and future. The tarot does this by reflecting guidance, enriching symbolism, and meaningful insight through its archetypal expressions of cosmic wisdom. The essential composition of the tarot, as we have explored before, seems to correlate profoundly with the structures of the mystic Kabbalistic tree of life, and some have even correlated the symbolism to stemming back to ancient Egyptian spirituality. In our previous tarot episode of Spirit Science, we walked the pathway of the major arcana, the journey of the soul from the beginning of a particular cycle of learning to the grand completion and ending of that cycle. We find that everything in the universe seems to work through cycles, and the tarot shows us the very same. In addition to the cyclical nature of the major arcana, the minor arcana too works in a cycle of creation from the top of the tree of life to the bottom, which then forms a bridge to the next suit, returning to the top of the tree once more. There are 4 suits in the minor arcana: the wands, cups, swords, and discs, of which are also often called coins or pentacles. And these represent the will, the emotion, the mental, and the physical aspects of each of us. The minor arcana consists of 40 cards, though in the mainstream, many tarot practitioners also consider the royal arcana or court cards to be a part of the minor arcana too, making the total count then 56. Those 16 cards are a large conversation all on their own, and within Patch Tarot, we designate them as their own arcana, and so we'll save these characters for another video. One more thing, as of the time of making this video, Patch Tarot 3 is still seeing some final tweaks as we are preparing them for print. You have no idea just how big of a project it is to actually print a tarot deck, let alone a holographic one. So I'm just letting you know that some of the cards that you'll be seeing today will be subject to change, and you're going to love the surprises. Now, traditional tarot is mapped over the Kabbalistic tree of life like this, with the right side being the masculine path, the left side being the feminine path, and the center column being the neutral or harmonized path. The cards then oscillate from right to left down the tree, depicting a wave-like motion of descent from the supreme oneness at the top down to the materially created universe. Each of the spheres, called sephirot, on the tree are emanations of the supreme divinity that also serve as wrappings or sheaths, containers for the condensing of cosmic information into tighter and tighter structures of energy until at last at the bottom, we have the manifestation of the physical material existence. The material world is therein seen as an illusion because at a subatomic level, all of the atoms that make up the universe are actually high-speed moving probability fields that can manifest in a multitude of ways depending on a number of circumstances, often relative to consciousness. It's pretty cool when you think about it. The symbolism of the cards essentially come from an intuitive math equation. In addition to the meaning of the sephirot and its location on the tree, we also have the astrological correspondence found on this, what we call the wisdom wheel. It shows how we get the traditional correlations of the planets and constellations to align with the cards per suit. The aces do not get a correlation because they exist at the very top of the tree, essentially representing the unmanifested potential of the element. Then as we descend down, let's say with the suit of wands, you'd have the cards correlating with Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius as you move throughout the suit, and so on and so forth for each suit. Originally, the symbolism of these cards, at least back before 1888, were very plain. The minor arcana looked like this. The 10 of cups was just 10 cups, and the 4 of swords was 4 swords. Simple, right? But very difficult to intuit any meaning behind that in a reading. What do 3 cups upside down mean? I don't know. You make it up in the spot. It was in 1888 that the Order of the Golden Dawn first did these esoteric math equations and designed these correlations, and they identified what they believed were the most essential depictions and reflections of these cards. Most tarot decks today are based on this work. Each suit essentially tells a story, but it's a bit of an intuitive story. We're going to do a video on each suit specifically, looking at their story and flow, but for now, anyone working with tarot can see a very cool pathway unfolding by playing with the cards and considering the meaning of each one as they descend through the numbers. In the suit of cups, for instance, the suit based around emotion, might depict love and mirth one moment and emptiness and sorrow the next. The idea is that all different qualities of human experience are found in the tarot, positive and negative, but also that the cards are depicting and represent human consciousness in its density. This is something that Patch Tarot 3 deviates from just a little bit because we've been initiated into and have been working with this new expression of the tree of life, what we're calling the ascended tree. And the idea with it is that it represents the repairing of the connection between ourselves and spirit, the divinity within us. When this connection is repaired, the nature of human experience changes and our suffering is able to lessen. It's for this reason that some of the meanings of the cards in Patch Tarot 3 have shifted from traditional tarot, such as in the Suit of Swords especially, the suit that most commonly represents the suffering of the human mind and how we create suffering through our negative ways of thinking and our dense state of consciousness. Now there's a lot to share about the Suit of Swords in Patch Tarot 3, but I'm going to keep this a secret for now, except for one, the 9. The 9 of Swords is astrologically connected with Mars in Gemini, and traditionally the image shows, well, nightmares. They say that Mars does not sit well with the scattered nature of Gemini, which is partially why the nightmares. Gemini is dualistic in its nature, but that does not mean that the sign is doomed, because it has to do with seeing different perspectives, identifying polarities, seeing right from wrong, good from evil, or seeing how two people can see the same thing and identify something different. Ultimately, there is wisdom in the reconciliation process. Yet, the Suit of Swords also does bring wisdom about the mind, the need for decisive action, to stand for what we believe in, and to follow the guidance that we receive. Now, traditionally, going back through the Rider-Waite Tarot all the way to the Tarot de Marseille, we see a great deal of Christian symbolism permeating these cards. And of course, many of the traditional symbols have made their way into Patch Tarot as well. But here in the Spiritverse, we honor all traditions and the sciences of the day, combining that wisdom about Gemini's duality with the fighter spirit of Mars and the tree of life sphere of Yesod. The symbolism came to us to draw from one of the great ancient scriptures of the world, the Bhagavad Gita, and depict the battle that Arjuna had with his enemy, and the holy Krishna guiding him to fight this battle, to take action against the enemy. The battle itself is often not described as an external war, but an internal one. The soul fighting against the lower habits and addictions of the ego consciousness, or our own inner demons, as Gandhi would say. Now this card is loaded with symbolism. I mean, there's even more Easter eggs in here that I'm not going to point out just yet, but just know they're there. We'll have a lot of secret information presented in the brand new edition of the Book of Patch, which will be shipping alongside or shortly after Patch Tarot 3 launches. You can learn more about Patch Tarot 3 in the link in the description, but before you do, there's a bit more to talk about here. A human being is a very complex organism. We have many layers and layers to our psyche and our intellect. Our capacity for creativity, imagination, and emotional depth is profound and essentially infinite. Plus, our ability to remember the past and identify potentials of the future through pattern recognition and intuition is just one of the ways we are so unique as a species. The minor arcana in the tarot essentially seeks to bring that awareness of all of these aspects of ourselves into a singular place so that we can more easily apprehend the complexities of our nature without getting lost in the mystery of it all. The more we make sense of these archetypes, the more we understand ourselves. Some people might want to use tarot to see the future, but this is not actually how they were meant to be used. In fact, that's the lowest way of trying to use them. We might want a yes or no answer on whether or not something will or will not happen the next day. But these cards really remind us to step into the present moment, and they point out that all possibilities exist as quantum potentials in the here and now. The more we tap into the present, the more ability we have to create and change the experience of life and reality that we're having. When you draw a card in the tarot, that card then draws awareness, like focusing light through a lens to the aspect of yourself depicted in the card. One might be called to bring attention to what seeds they're planting physically, or how their thoughts are affecting their emotional body, or how they're implementing their willpower in the world. If these aspects of ourselves are out of balance, the tarot will provide insight and guidance on how to correct these imbalances, and even offer warnings of what may happen if we do not make the necessary adjustments. Sometimes we do a card reading and it's all good news, but even if it's not, that's okay too. Who knows? Maybe if it's not good news, the wisdom that is gained can help you to avoid disaster. With every card that we understand in the minor arcana, we gain more and more control over ourselves, reaching into self-realization and mastery, so that instead of these elements ruling us, we rule over them. When one is fully in tune with all of the needs of the body, but can clearly identify between needs and wants and live in a state of inner peace regardless of the turbulent circumstances that they find themselves in, they have attained a state one might call a fully integrated human. This is ultimately the goal of the tarot and the intention imbued in every card in Patch Tarot 3. All of the cards that we've been sharing here today are from the latest edition of Patch Tarot. And if you feel called to learn more about them, you can find some information using the link in the description. And consider watching our other tarot videos too, if you like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later.